You experience the universe as a series of direct interactions with light, textures, and sounds. This perspective assumes that you are touching the world exactly as it exists in the physical realm. Physically, the human body exists in a state of isolation. Your mind is housed within a sealed biological vault, completely partitioned off from the external environment. If we are trapped within this biological box, we must look for the specific mechanism that allows environmental data to enter the mind. That mechanism is the cellular receptor. Billions of these specialized proteins sit on the surface of your cells, acting as the primary translators between the external universe and your internal chemistry. Without these proteins, the cosmos would be a void of silence and darkness to the organism. Every sense, sight, sound, and touch, relies entirely on these microscopic gateways. Every conscious experience arrives as a translated signal, processed through these microscopic cellular windows before it ever reaches your awareness. At the boundary of a single cell, the receptor functions as an active chemical switch. It governs the flow of information by changing its physical shape in response to a stimulus. Biophysicist Richard Lanzara's net shift model describes this process as a constant toggle between an inactive and active state. When a stimulus, like a photon, strikes the protein, it perturbs the balance, forcing a net shift toward the active state, triggering a biological response. This system has a built-in ceiling called desensitization. When you are hit with a sudden flash of bright light, your vision momentarily cuts out because your rhodopsin receptors have reached their limit. The receptor effectively shuts down under high-intensity stimulation. This protects the cell's internal biochemistry from being overwhelmed by a flood of excessive signals. This chart illustrates Weber's law. While a machine responds linearly, biological receptors respond logarithmically. As the stimulus gets stronger, the response flattens. This scaling concentrates your sensory resolution at the lower end, creating a narrow sweet spot where perception is most acute. Your senses provide a curated sliver of reality, filtered through non-linear mechanisms designed for survival rather than objective accuracy. Once the receptor toggles into its on state and accepts a signal, the information must be moved from the cell's surface to its interior. This is handled by microtubules, dynamic branching tubes that serve as both the cell's architectural scaffolding and its internal railway system. Microtubule-associated proteins bridge the gap, physically anchoring the receptors to this internal skeleton so they can catch incoming signals. The activated receptor sends its translated chemical message directly into these microtubule pathways, triggering a physical chain reaction. This signaling causes the microtubules to polymerize, growing or reshaping their physical architecture in real time. This microscopic restructuring of the cell's scaffolding provides the literal biological foundation for learning, memory, and cognitive plasticity. Scaling up to the entire human brain reveals a massive lattice of these microtubules, all interconnected with billions of toggling receptors. The net shift sensoria is the sum total of every active receptor equilibrium operating across your body simultaneously. This aggregate output creates your Umwelt, the specific, highly curated perceptual bubble in which you experience your entire life. But this leaves us with the question of how this mechanical architecture produces the actual feeling of consciousness. One theory suggests that every quantum wave function collapse in the universe carries a fleeting, primitive felt character. These events happen everywhere, but they are typically isolated and unconnected. The brain's specific microtubule architecture provides the organized lattice needed to gather these isolated events. By anchoring receptors to this skeletal network, the cell provides a physical environment where these quantum collapses can be bound together. Sir Roger Penrose suggests this orchestration allows the brain to harvest these quantum events, binding them into the integrated stream of awareness we experience. This orchestration links our internal biological receptors to the fundamental chemistry of the cosmos, producing the continuous, rich awareness of the human experience.